Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
This is Ed Cohen, and I'm in San Diego, California. And today is May 20. It's the beginning of my time. I'm a Gemini, and so watch out. Okay. So our special guest today is in the Toronto area, I believe, Canada, and is Lucy Ruth. And Lucy is an entrepreneur. She's also a really smart dude, and she's formed a service that helps underserved authors. And I think that's really good. And she says, your support and contributions will enable us, I'm reading this, to meet our goals and promote young literary talents from underserved communities. Let us unite in promoting youth writers. We're going to get more information about helping underserved authors. Let's meet Lucy Ruth. And her company is ipublishhouse.com. Get that? It's all connected, ipublishhouse.com. She's been a keynote speaker, not only for such things as Black history, but also helping women and helping people become authors and publish. Hi, Lucy Ruth. Thank you for being on Global TV Talk Show.
Hi, good morning, Edwin. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Just doing great. And I've had a strong cup of coffee here. It's 7 a.m. or so here, and there'll be more after this. So you're a publisher and you help people publish. But first, tell us about helping the underserved people, underserved authors.
Okay. So originally, I was born in Zimbabwe, which is in Africa. So I moved from
That's
Zimbabwe.
near South Africa, right?
Zimbabwe is in Southern Africa, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So as you know, like a lot of third world countries, they sometimes when there are sanctions, they affect the poor people. Sanctions never affect rich people, always affects poor people. And there's a lot of upcoming writers that kept asking me, like, how do I write a book? How do I do this? And I saw that, you know what, there's a lot of youth out there, a lot of young people that actually want to write, and they're writing good poems. And they're instead of doing drugs, they're spending time writing books. So every year I choose one or two authors, depending on the funding that I get. And I sponsor a youth writer. So I actually published my first youth writer that I sponsored. Her name is Kay Yash. She was 17 when I published her first book. She wrote about high school romance. She wrote about high school romance because she went to a boarding school, and she was talking about boarding school, of which I actually encourage a lot of young writers to write about their experiences in high school, because there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. There's a lot of bullying that goes at high school, and the youth do not speak about it. Youth depression is at an all-time high because they just don't speak. So I encourage youth writers to write what they're going through in life, experiences. And it is these experiences that make us adults learn what's going out in the world. And when we learn, we speak up against injustice and everything, depression, bullying. So these young writers help me save communities all over the world.
So bullying is just young people coming in, well, anybody, but let's just say young people for now. Young people coming in together, whether it's in the schoolyard or in the lunchroom or in the hallways, and they're saying something like, well, I'm more mature than you are. Why don't you just get out of my way? And something like that, picayune stuff. So some kids, push back, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it works, and they're never bullied by that person again. Mm-hmm. But most people, they're shy or they don't want to get involved. And so the person doing the bullying thinks that they're superior and they can get away with it. and they keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your experience too?
Yes, they keep doing it. And then I'm also a youth mentor. So what I encourage a lot of youth, because a lot of youth, the modern day youth is really closed. They don't want to really air their feelings, because I was actually talking to a youth 2 weeks ago. He came to me and he told me, you know what, Lucy, I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm like, what's the matter? He said, well, because I'm a man, they tell me to man up. I can't tell them that I'm failing at this, because they say, oh, he used a vulgar word that is used in society. Well, because you're a man, you can't have a baby. Oh, you can't be a crybaby because you're a guy. So they bottle it in, right? So what I tell a lot of youth is just write. You release a lot by writing. Writing in itself is,
and you call out
yes,
that bully.
yes,
You call out, and then they become afraid, because the pen is more powerful than a sword and a gun, because it lasts. The stuff that comes out of this pen lasts forever.
So yeah, so I find that they write. So if they're dealing with trauma, or if you're dealing with some, I find with some sort of youth depression, writing helps. Like writing, just write. It doesn't have to be a book, but that's how they become authors. They start writing, but sometimes that emotion that is coming out of writing is very authentic and makes a very good story. Makes a very good self-help book for the next person who's gonna go through the same that this person has gone through.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by Porchlight Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
Stop dreaming and start living overseas. International lifestyle consultant Emily Braun can help you seamlessly transition to your new life in your dream destination. Whether you are a retiree, a digital nomad, or a mobile executive, Emily Braun can make your transition overseas a success. Visit emilybraun.com.
Coutalis is a global group with a worldwide footprint. With 16 agencies in 10 countries, Coutalis offers companies and mobile professionals a unique combination of HR services and options. Find us at coutalis.com.
Take your communication skills to the next level. Barbara Bolt of Bolt Global has a passion to make you shine. As our globe expands, effective intercultural communication and presentation is a must. Visit boltglobal.com.
Fascinating stuff. I bet you have some really interesting stories, and I want to encourage you to tell me another story. Let's just say, if we can skip for a minute to an adult who's a client now, and you're advising them on how to organize their thoughts, or what to do once they have a bunch of chapters written or ideas down on paper, and then what?
So I go through, okay, so let's talk about this. There are some works that are publishable, and then there's some works that are not publishable. So what I do is I track their raw manuscript and I read it. And when I see that it's gonna intrigue people, it's gonna touch, because people buy emotions. People buy, like when you're selling a book or a story, like even a movie. That's why you find in a movie, in these drama movies, you'll be like, oh, that was such a sad story. Oh, but it had a happy ending. So when you are selling emotions and experiences, because people have experienced some of the things that you're going through, you have a market. Already you have a targeted market by your experience. So I take those raw manuscripts and then I will put it all together, we'll edit it, we'll polish it up and make it and make the story readable. And then we'll upload it, we'll do all the publishing stuff and put it on Amazon, Ingram Spark, and all the other platforms out there.
Cool. So is that expensive? It's certainly time consuming.
It is time consuming, and at the moment, we are not expensive at all. We are reasonable. We're reasonable.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about how you reach now people who are not underserved, like, for instance, that doctor that you mentioned, or other professionals out there in the world that you have helped and who are clients now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've actually published 2 books by 2 doctors. One of my clients, I won't name, is actually worth $8 million. And I also had another lady, a doctor. She wrote about postpartum depression. So there's a lot of people like in the medical field that want to write and help people. Like there's some topics that people don't really talk about, like postpartum depression. She wrote a book about postpartum depression in Black women, because like where our background as Black people, we were told to be strong. The Black woman was supposed to be strong. So we didn't really know much about postpartum. We were not educated that it was okay to have postpartum depression, because it's natural, and many women suffer and go through postpartum depression, but they are not aware. So this doctor, a client of mine, wrote her book, and on launch day she made $20,000. So I take professionals. So if you're an accountant and you have a way of solving issues in accounting, you can write a book about accounting. Everybody can write a book in their business field, because this is why even when you go on YouTube, there's so many people showing you how to do this, but you can also do that and write a book. And if you are lucky, your book can also be used at schools, at universities, because universities and schools are always looking for new content. So books are the way to go. So write about your experiences, write about your professional. If you are a teacher, write about the subject you teach. If you are a doctor, write about the diseases you're curing and how people can live with the disease, you know? So there's so much we can write about. We can write about our day-to-day experiences. So everybody is a writer. Everybody has a story to tell. So anybody and everybody can become an author.
Boy, I'm getting excited. So, so Lucy Ruth, you can look her up on LinkedIn. And once again, the website, I'm going to read it again, ipublishhouse.com. That's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yes, I publish for you. I publish your book. I publish because I love publishing.
That's very cool. Okay, so let's talk about branding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so branding, because my background is in the public relations business, I'm very familiar with it, but how do you see it, branding an author? Is it based upon the author's experience or personality or location, or is it about the topic of the book, or all of it?
Okay, so my experience when I first wrote my first book, Debunk and Develop Your Mind. So my book branded me, and I became Lucy, the publisher, from writing my book. So when I wrote my book, and I wrote about my experiences as well, because like when I was young, growing up in Africa, I lost my mom. She suffered from depression and she took her own life.
Oh,
so
wow.
I wrote about my experiences with depression. So that opened doors. People wanted to hear my story. I got invited to speak on world stages about depression. So the book brands you.
Okay, this is good. So we are having a technical difficulty here. There's a note to Paul Tech. So I want to just call attention that this will be edited and fixed. But Lucy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, good. I don't know what happened there, but here we are, we're back. So we're talking about branding and the impact of the nature of the topic and the impact of the author and the author's experience. So let's talk about women and postpartum depression. So if you could help me understand, I'm a guy, but, help me understand more about the psychology. A woman is given birth successfully, and, hopefully everything is healthy for the baby and for the woman. But this is a natural occurrence, kind of a come down, your life purpose has changed because you've given birth successfully, and now the chore is to be a mother and a successful mother, and you don't go to school for that, right? You have
No.
to. And so talk to me and my audience about this.
Okay, so when it comes to postpartum depression, I am going to talk from my own experience. So when I had my first child, after 9 months, I was nursing another baby leg. I got pregnant again. So 2 of my kids were born back to back.
Wow.
So now I had 2 kids to look after. Whilst my ex-husband had to work all day, I had to take care of the kids. No help. So eventually you burn out. It's too much. You have a crying baby, you have another little one that needs your attention, and you have the house to take care of, and you have to take care of yourself.
So that's a lot. That's a lot.
That is too much work. And your body as well has gone through so much trauma. Giving birth is traumatic. So you are surrounded by all these things and you're not getting enough sleep. You're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough help, and you are not taking care of yourself. That in itself can trigger postpartum depression. Instead of enjoying the baby, you find yourself crying because you're exhausted. Your mental health is not there. So a lot of, it's a subject that we actually need to talk about, and also for men to understand that when you have a new child, a new kid in the house, your wife needs help. It's unfortunate that this part of the world, hiring house helpers is very expensive versus in Africa. In Africa, there's less depression because people hire housemaids. So the workload in the house is not as much as we have here. So men need to come up and family needs to help others. So we go back to branding. How do you become a mother? You become a mother because you gave birth. Is the experience of giving birth that in society most of the time makes you a mother. And also for those that adopt kids, just taking care of that child makes you a mother. So you are branded a mother by your experiences. So the same goes with writing books and branding. If you walk in the streets and you say, "Hi, I'm Lucy Ruth, I want to tell you a story," nobody will listen to you. If I go in the story holding my book and say, "Hi, I'm Lucy Ruth, I wrote this book," people will stop and want to listen to you. It makes you a leader. It brands you. There's so many things that happens when you become an author. It opens doors. Radio, TV interviews. I've been interviewed on TV in Australia because of my book, but without the book, they would not be interested in interviewing me. I've gone on podcasts because of my book, but without the book, nobody would want to talk to me about what I know or my passion or my experiences. So writing a book and becoming an author, talking about your industry, talking about your field, be it business, finance, it levels you up.
So this is fascinating, and this is a word to the wise to listen to this person, Lucy Ruth, talking reality about the value of becoming an author. In other words, it's authentic. and you become an authority. If it's done right, you become an authority. And therefore, it's just not talk, it's authenticity, and it's practical information. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in a book. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Now, this is assuming everything is honest and clean and safe, and it's not BS, it's truthful. And that's, of course, an understood thing, right? So we have done a couple of shows, pardon me, I got itchy nose, with women who talk about other issues, including menopause, okay, that kind of thing, which is, and we have had that discussion on our TV shows. And I've learned so much from having these TV shows. But women know all about this. Well, you would think that women know all about this, but that's not necessarily correct, is it?
No, we don't know it. You see, life is, the reality of life is we learn every day, because there's only so much that the brain can process, and depending on your whatever memory you have, some people have, my short-term memory is terrible. My long-term is good. So depending on how much stuff you digest, some of these things you hear it in passing, and unless you experience it, and remember, our bodies are different. Everybody is different. It's just like, I'll give a good example, excuse me, of COVID. There are some people who COVID made them sick and were bedridden for days. And there are some people who were just walking asymptomatic. Everybody is different. So all these experiences are different. That's why we need to write experiences, so that in a pool of people, among the billions of people in the world, you might find 100,000 people going through what you are going through. But that doesn't mean billions are going through the same issue as you.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Every experience is different, and it belongs to certain types of people. That's why we are grouped. That's why even our blood, you have to have A, and somebody has O. So everybody belongs to a certain group of people, certain histories. That's why we need books, because the person next door might go through menopause and have nothing to show that they went through menopause. Maybe they'll just have hot flashes and that's it. There's some women who've had menopause and they've had to take medication, and they have to do all sorts because it was just so terrible.
We're talking with Lucy Ruth, and once again, the website is I Publish House. So that's IPUBLISH, and then HOUSE, ipublishhouse.com. Go check it out. You're going to be really impressed with that quality, as I was this morning when I was looking at it in preparation for this discussion. Lucy Ruth, I've learned a lot. First of all, as a guy, and second of all, as a happy talk show host. I've learned a lot from your perspective and about the topic. Now, would you like to sum up? Would you like to go a little bit deeper into something? We have about 5 minutes remaining on this first edition. I welcome you back for another edition, and perhaps in early June or mid-June, if you have time, we could go a little bit deeper.
Yes, my message to everybody is, instead of wasting time in this world that we live in, where there's so many distractions, taking writing as a hobby or even as a profession is very good, and it's therapeutic. Writing can be addictive, but it's a very good addiction. And when you write your book and you publish it, you might not make $1 million today, but a book lifespan goes up to 99 years. There was a book that was written 99 years ago. When the COVID pandemic came, that book sold millions of copies. So a book is an investment.
Good point.
And it can be my books are investments for my kids, because when they go to high school, and I will be saying, you know what, you want extra money? Go put a stand up there and sell books. sell books, and there's royalties. Like Amazon offers, there's some people who live by reading ebooks on Amazon. So Amazon has royalties, there's book competition. There is so much that you can do with a book than not having a book. I encourage everybody who can write and who has the time to write a book, because not only are you an author, but you leave a legacy. You are leaving a footprint that will be used by future generations.
I like that. Thank you. I'm getting really excited. I've got all these talk shows that I've done, and there's so much wisdom in them, and yet they're just sitting there on my website. So I think I'm going to do a deep dive and see what there really is here, and I'll be back to you.
You should write a book.
Lucy Ruth, thank you so much. I'm really glad that you made some time for me, and I invite you to come back on Global TV Talk Show. Maybe we could do a series, like one a month or something, and I can bring you together with some other authors or some other business people. And
that would be awesome, because you know what I did? Because I started I Publish House. I actually published my first magazine last month.
Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you. So like I'm doing a magazine. I want to do a business magazine. There's so much you can do. When you start writing, your brain opens up. It's like a thick fog has been lifted off your head, your eyes, everything. You start having, you want to write more. Or like right now I have this, I'm going to spill the beans. I'm actually,
okay.
I'm actually putting together a coloring book for children.
Nice.
With all the national parks in the world.
National parks. Wow.
Yes.
And Zimbabwe has some beautiful parks, right?
Yes. So, see, the opportunities are endless. When you write, you keep writing, you keep finding stuff to write about. And like our children nowadays, like when you give them, they want to know what you go through. Like they live in a different world. They're not, they don't care about what happens in the past, but they care about now. Like you give them a book, oh, this is happening in Africa. This is because they're connected. They have the internet to themselves. So they like to learn. They play video games that connects them to the world. So when you bring new stuff, new books, new things that's happening in the world, and actually use it to teach them about the world, and that's how we're going to actually make the world a better place. So it opens their eyes, they learn. So we need more people to write books. We need people to write children's books. There's so many books we need. We need books.
We are pleased to welcome Adamo Education as a proud sponsor of Global TV Talk Show.
The concept of a microschool is the reimagining of the one-room schoolhouse. My name is Tamara Becker. I'm the president and CEO of Adamo Education. The microschool concept really does not just lend itself to the personalization and the customization of learning, but also the social development and fostering that sense of love for learning. Unlike what we see in traditional brick and mortar schools, we have multiple grade levels in the same learning space. Students can be enriched by the socialization that they get, as well as the academic support from peers. What differentiates Adamo is the fact that we are taking the best pieces of brick and mortar, of digital, and then at-home learning. Students here can come 5 days a week. They can come 4 hours a day. It will really just depend on what is best for the student and for the parent. To enroll, just reach out via phone, text, or email, and we'll have that personalized conversation, and we'll be able to get you all set. Check us out at adamoeducation.org.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
I assume that you've published online rather than in print. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. So thank you so much for being on Global TV Talkshow.com. I really appreciate you. Nice to meet you, Lucy Ruth. This is Ed in San Diego, California, and that's Lucy in Canada, in the Toronto area. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm an hour from Toronto. I'm in Brantford, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you, and please come back. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.